Hello, Math 96. Today's November 13th. Happy Friday. So we're going to review yesterday's worksheet assignment on solving systems with multiplying by one row. So listen to the videos. We go over the examples from the worksheet that was given yesterday. If you need the assignment, go back to Google Classroom to this assignment. That's where you can find it. And then tonight's homework, catch up over the weekend on any late work, please. Okay. All right. So this is example 1. And it says solve each system by elimination. You will need to multiply one row by a number. So for this example, I'm going to choose to eliminate x. So if I'm going to eliminate the x, then what do I want in this spot? Remember, it's always you have to decide on what do you want. Well, in order to eliminate, I want the 2x to become a 10x. So that's how we decide what number to use on the outside. So if I multiply my top row by a 5, I will get what I want, a 10x, because 5 times 2x is 10x. So that's what I'm going to do. That's how I decide to use a 5. Because once I go 5 times 2x, I'll get a positive 10x, and we'll be able to eliminate those, right? But before we do that, you have to multiply every single item in the entire row by 5. All right, so I'm going to go this way, crossways, so that would be 10x plus 10y is equal to, and 5 times 30 is 150. Now, if you didn't choose to eliminate the x's, just hold on a minute, because on the next slide, I'll show you an alternative method, okay? Then I'm going to just slide, so I'm done with this one. I'm going to just slide this equation underneath. Let's recopy it because we didn't multiply it by anything. And then I'm going to get started. So let me just go ahead and change colors here. So now I can eliminate 10x's minus 10x's cancels, and that's the goal. Oops, that's the goal, is to eliminate one of the variables. That's why it's called the elimination method, right? And then just think up and down. You're adding right here. 10y's plus 12y's is 22y's. And 150 plus 26 is 176. And I won't give you fractions, so this should divide. You just need to consult a calculator, which I'm going to do right now. So 176 divided by 22 is 8. So the y value is equal to 8. So for our final answer, we have half of the final answer. Because remember, your answers have to be in XY form, and we found the 8. So put the answer in for the y spot, and now let's find the x. So to find x, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the y and I'm going to plug in the y equals 8 into either equation from the beginning. And it doesn't matter which one you choose. So I'm going to go with the top one. And I'm doing that because they're smaller numbers. So 2x plus 2y equals 30. And we found the value of y, so we'll plug it in right here. And I'll use a different color for that. So we found that the y was worth 8. And then you just go ahead and do the math, right? So 2x plus 2 times 8 is 16 equals 30. Then we're going to subtract the 16 so we can move it over and solve. So the 2x will be equal to, because this cancels, right? 16 minus 16. 30 minus 16 is 14. And just divide, or 2 times 1 is 14. You should know the answer is 7. I'll show the work, but you should know the answer is 7. So we have our full final answer now. We can put the 7 up in the x spot, and we have our final answer where these two lines cross at 7, 8. Now, like I said, there is an alternative method. So remember, we eliminated x, right? That's what we did. We eliminated the x first. Well, what if you did it the other way and you eliminated y? So I'm going to show you another way to do it on the next slide. You only have to do it one way. So I'm just accounting for those students who might have done this problem differently. So let's look at the next slide. It's the same problem. So the alternative method would be to eliminate the y instead. So if you eliminated y, then you should have used a -6 on the top row, because that would have given you a -12y. And they cancel. So you can just hit pause here if you did this method. You do not have to do it both ways. There's no reason to. I'm just trying to account for those students who may have done it a different way. But you can see the answer again is 7, 8, and that's the same answer that we got the first method. Okay, I'm going to move on. This is number 2. So if we look here, we have a 4x and a 6x. Now we would have to multiply both of those to produce a 12x and a -12x. So there's really no alternative method here. There's only one method that you could have chosen. And let me just change colors. So it's right here. What do I want this to be? I want it to be a positive 12y, because then it'll cancel with the -12y, right? So if I want this to be a positive 12y, what do I multiply to produce that? So what times -6 gives us positive 12y? That would be a -2. So if I multiply by -2, I get what I want, a positive 12y. So we're going to eliminate the y's first. And this is the only method that you can choose to do, because you would have had to multiply both top and bottom in order to get rid of x's. So there's no alternative method here. So if we're going to multiply by a -2, we have to multiply everything by -2. So that would give us -8x plus 12y, which is what we wanted, is equal to -28. And I'm just going to slide this one underneath. Oops, sorry about that. 6x minus 12y equals -12. And then I'm going to do old-fashioned add and subtract, think up and down, right? So 6x's minus 8x's is -2x's. 12y's minus 12y cancels, so we've eliminated, right? We eliminated the y's, bring down equal. 28 negatives and 12 more negatives is 40 negatives. Okay? And we're just going to divide through by that -2. You do have to watch your signs. So if you got something wrong in this work, a lot of times it's just your signs. So if you're trying to find your error, just watch your signs. So a -40 divided by a -2 is a positive 20. Okay? So then what do we do for the next step? We have, well, let's put in part of our final answer, because that's always the safest thing. We got x is equal to 20. We need to find the y, right? So we're going to take this and we're going to plug it back in into either original. Okay? So here we go. So we're going to take it into the bottom one. And it's okay if you chose the other one. You should get the same answer, as long as your signs and everything are all right. Okay, so we're plugging in for the x this time. So I'm going to put parentheses by x. And just change colors here. So x was worth 20. Okay, so then we're just going to do the math. 6 times 20 is 120. Minus 12y is equal to -12. And in order to solve that, we have to move over the 120. So I'm going to subtract that. 120 minus 120 cancels. Bring down -12y. That's -132. And that should divide out. That's 11. Divide by -12, divide by -12. So y is equal to 11. So we got the rest of our final answer. There we go. Okay, we're going to move on. And like I said, this number 2 does not have an alternative method. There is none if you're only multiplying by one row as the directions told you to do. So just try to find one row to multiply by, right? Because if you wanted to eliminate the x's on number 2, you would have to multiply both the 4x and the 6x by numbers in order to make them both into 12x and negative 12x. So that's the reason why. Okay, moving on. Oops. There's number 3. All right. So on this one, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to eliminate the x. So right now it's a 1x. So what do I want in that spot? I want it to be a 2x because then 2x's minus 2x's would cancel. So how do I change the 1x into a 2x with multiplication? Then I do that by multiplying by 2. So I'm going to multiply everything in that row by 2. And remember, you have to multiply all 3 spots. Okay, so I'm going to bring over the top one. There's no changes on the top one. So negative 2x minus 12y equals 20. And on the bottom, I'm going to multiply by 2 equals negative 20. And then I'm going to think up and down, and I'm going to go ahead and add and subtract up and down. So 2x's minus 2x's cancels. Negative 12y plus 6y is negative 6y. And 20 minus 20 is 0. And a negative 6 times what gives 0? What does that y have to be? That's one way to think about it, because I know some students get confused about 0. Or you can plug in the calculator, 0 divided by negative 6. It'll give back to you that y is worth 0. Okay, so I'm going to start my final answer. I'm going to put my 0 in my y spot. I'm going to go ahead and plug this in. And I'm going to resolve. So I'm going to choose the top one, only because it's easy to see. And I'm plugging in this time for the y. I'm going to leave parentheses by y, change colors for you. Y was worth 0. So negative 2x, what's negative 12 times 0? That just cancels, that's a 0. You don't need to write plus 0. Doesn't change anything. So equals 20 divided by negative 2. So our x value is worth 20 divided by negative 2 is negative 10, and we're all done. So there's our final answer, negative 10 comma 0. Okay, so so here we chose to eliminate the x's first, right? That's what I chose to do. What if you wanted to eliminate the y's? What if you wanted this to be negative 12y and positive 12y? That's okay. That's fine. I did that for you. Let me show you on the next slide. You're going to see you're going to get the same answer, negative 10 comma 0. And it's okay. I just want you to check your work. So this is to eliminate the y first. So this produced negative 12y over positive 12y. So if you did this work by eliminating the y first, you used a 4 to multiply through, then here's the work for that. And you can, like I said, you can see it's the same final answer. Okay, so you can hit pause if you need to look at that for a moment. And then we'll do number 4. Okay, so on number 4, what do I want? So I want to eliminate the x's. That's what I'm going to choose. If you didn't do that, I will show you how to do it with the y's in just a minute. So if I'm going to choose, I have a 1x right now, right? What do I need in that spot in order to eliminate the x's? What do I want? I want it to be a negative 11x. That way 11x's minus 11x's will cancel. So the number I'm going to choose is negative 11. Okay, so I'm going to multiply that through. Remember, multiply it to every single item with the distributive property. So negative 11x plus 11y, because a negative times a negative, equals a negative 55. And then on the bottom, I'm just going to slide that underneath. 13. Okay, and then I'm going to think up and down, add and subtract. So 11x's minus 11x's, I eliminated the x like I wanted to. 11 minus 4 is 7y's. And 55 to 13 is negative 42. No, it's not. Yes, it is. And divide by 7's. So your y would be equal to negative 6. Okay. All right, we're going to take this and we're going to plug it back in. We're going to plug it back into any original equation. I'm going to choose to do, let's see. I'm going to choose to do the bottom one. The reason why I chose to do that is because there's not so many hidden ones. So a lot of times when you have these hidden ones, they can get confusing. You're better off to plug something back in when you have visible coefficients. Students make less mistakes when you actually see a number rather than dealing with hidden ones. So if you're given the opportunity to choose at this point when you're plugging in, I personally would choose to use where you have visible coefficients. Okay, so we're going to plug in a negative 6. So 11x, a negative 4 times a negative 6 is a 24, equal to 13. We need to move over the 24, so subtract 24 to both sides. So 11x is equal to 13 to 24 is 11. Divide by the 11, so x is just 1. So our final answer is x is 1 and y is negative 6. Okay, so remember, I chose to eliminate x first. What if you did it the opposite way and you went to go ahead and eliminate those y's? Why did that work for you? And I'll show you that on the next slide. If it will come up. Hold on. Paper's being picky. There it is. Okay, so if you chose to eliminate the y first, then you should have multiplied by a negative 4 on the top row so that you could produce a positive 4y, and it would eliminate with the bottom 4y. And as you can see, we get the same final answer, negative 1 comma negative 6. So you can hit pause here if you chose to do this work. Okay, and the next slide. Okay, just in case, this worksheet is available to print or view on Google Classroom. I showed you that at the very beginning on the agenda where the assignment was, but here it is again, just in case you need it. Okay, I hope you have a great weekend, you guys. Thank you for being so patient while I've been out sick. I appreciate it.